What's up, everybody? It is the first trading day in the new year 2025, and I ended up taking two trades. The first one was a loss, and the second trade was a small win that actually put me into green for the day. So, overall, coming into the market this morning, I was rather bearish. Just obviously, we have this bearish structure that has been forming. We have not been putting in any kind of new highs or higher highs, sorry. And so, excuse me, I'm still recovering a little bit from a cold, but I wanted to see price move down towards this level. To me, this kind of looked like a buy model to sell model, and I was expecting price to come down to this 2107 level right here. So that was my target for today. The only thing that kind of had me a little bit weary about that ever hitting was the fact that we had a 4-hour bearish fair value gap here that got invalidated in the morning. So because of that, I thought, okay, maybe we could be bullish to come up and sweep some kind of buy side before moving down lower. I felt super confident that we were going to end up hitting this because of the fact that we did have this drop during FOMC last year, creating that market structure shift on the 4-hour. We moved up into OTE and then started to sell off from there. So it was only obvious that we were going to end up hitting this draw right there. Now, like I said, that 4-hour fair value gap had me a little, little confused as to what price was going to do. So I dropped into the 1 hour this morning, and I just saw that we were moving on up, right? Moving on higher. And then we started to drop coming into the market open. So the one thing that I was eyeing was this 1 hour imbalance right there, as well as this 1 hour imbalance. I wanted to see a 1 hour candle close below that. And if we got that, then I was going to look for shorts targeting that 007 level. And unfortunately, the candle that hit that 007 level was the one that broke these two fair value gaps. Now, I did take a short at first, and it was because of the fact that we did invalidate this one. This one was a little bit in premium off of this price leg here. I ideally wanted to see that one get broken and then a sell off into that draw, but price had other plans. It clearly just went straight to it. Now, like I said, I saw that this got invalidated at 11 o'clock, so I was looking for some kind of a short setup, but unfortunately I missed it. I was looking for that and I couldn't find it, and then when it finally happened, I was not at the charts anymore, so I did miss on this entire move down. But like I said, because at 10 o'clock we had this move down and then got bought right back up, I was rather bullish. All right, I was looking for longs at this point because I thought, all right, we swept that low, we started to move on higher, we were disrespecting a 4-hour fair value gap, and we were looking like we wanted to create structure to go higher. So I wanted to see this broken, but we failed to break it and we're holding, so that's why I was bullish. So going into the first trade that I took this morning, it was let's see, was it a long that I took? No, sorry, I actually went short and I got stopped out on the short. So I missed the first macro right around here, 950 macro, right? I was looking for I was looking for a long entry, right? Yes, that's what it was. Sorry guys, I'm just trying to remember what happened. I was looking for a long entry around at 950 macro, especially after 10 o'clock. I wanted to see a pullback to create a bearish fair value gap and then having that get invalidated and move higher. So here at 10 o'clock, price moves above the open, creates a bullish imbalance right there, and then that gets invalidated. Now, as you can see, up until 10:10, there was no kind of inversion fair value gap to the upside that was created, and so I didn't enter into any longs, which thankfully I did not, right? Because price moved down and didn't give us any kind of long entry whatsoever. So now at the 1050 macro, I did notice that we were going to invalidate this 1 hour FEG. And once we did, I was looking for a bearish setup. All right, we invalidated that 1 hour FEG. I thought, okay, hey, we're going to end up going lower to that draw on liquidity. So the minute that we got this imbalance right here get invalidated, I actually entered in a little early, and once it got invalidated, I was good. I put my stop above that swing high, and I waited for a bit. I was in a little bit of profit, and it was just a slow climb back up. I didn't like how we were rejecting off of this 1 minute imbalance right there, and not having any kind of displacement whatsoever. We were just hanging around it. So I closed my position out when we got a 1 minute closure above that. Why? Because, well, if we were invalidating this 1 hour FAG and we were going to end up hitting that low, I would have expected it to happen within the macro, or at least start having some kind of a strong push lower. But because we didn't have that, that's when I decided, yeah, if this gets invalidated, then there's no reason for me to stay within this trade. And I'm glad I closed it out, because as you can see, I would have gotten stopped out. So I didn't hit my full risk on that one. So after I saw that happened, I waited for the 1150 to 1210 macro, because I was still bearish. I wanted to see a setup, but unfortunately I had to leave my desk at exactly 1150. So because you wanted to see a bearish setup, the obvious entry is staring right at us in our face. Let me get the drawing tools out here. So it would have been the invalidation of that 1 minute bullish imbalance, or even this one if you wanted to. So your entry would have been around here. Put your stop above the swing high, and then of course target low hanging fruit, which would have been a 1 to 2, and then leaving a runner down to the drawn liquidity right here would have been a 1 to 5.8. So this was the awesome trade of the day. We had that 1 hour imbalance get invalidated, confirming shorts, and obviously we had the bearish structure, and this would have been the greatest trade for today. Price just sold off like crazy. So good job if you ended up catching that. I unfortunately did not, and it is what it is. But after that, I wanted to see if there was any kind of an entry to potentially get something, right? I was already red for the day, so I was looking at other areas of interest. So we had already hit that draw on liquidity. Now price tapped into it, and we failed to come back up higher to get some kind of retracement to mitigate some of these imbalances that were left behind, and price was just hanging around in this area. So that was interesting to me, the fact that it was doing that, and there was no further displacement lower. So that to me was telling me that we were probably going to end up going higher. So at the 110 macro, I looked for an invalidation of a bearish fair value gap, and I put the stop below this swing low here. Now I didn't take this trade, I was just purely watching it. I wanted to target the breaker block that we had right here. Now I know I don't usually use that, but because that was the only thing I could really find within premium where price could have rejected off of, that was a nice 1 to 2.2, hit that and then rejected off nicely. The trade that I actually took, so I'm going to delete that because I didn't take that obviously. The trade that I actually took was at the 315 macro. So if we look, my entry was a 1 minute candle closure above this bearish imbalance right here, and then having the stop below that swing low. So my entry was actually right here. I had a higher fill than I would have liked. It was right there. I got filled up here just because I hesitated a little bit, but when I saw that we were accumulating right here, getting so close to my stop, and then randomly we get this strong candle up like that, I immediately saw this as accumulation and the manipulation above the high, and we tapped into that breaker that I talked about before. So when I saw that, I immediately took my position off. I was green on the day since that first trade did not take my entire risk. This 1 to 0.94 was enough to put me green on the day, enough to make me feel confident in just taking it and just walking away for the day. It was the end of the day and I didn't want to risk anything else. But because of the fact that we hadn't retraced back up into premium, I figured we were going to continue moving a little bit higher, and that was what we were going to get for the last macro of the day. So this was the trade I took. Not ideal RR. Obviously here too, it didn't give us an ideal RR either, but both of those longs worked out. So hopefully you guys ended up green today. We had an amazing trade for the 1150 macro. That was insane, right? Insane. Unfortunately, the trade that I took originally got stopped out. I was early on the shorts, had the right thinking because the 4 hour showed bearishness. There was no reason why price would go higher at this point. We just were having bearish trend, and we were respecting bearish fair value gaps, disrespecting bullish ones, as you can see here on the 1 hour. And yeah, I mean, the draw was obviously the swing low that we had put in before. So very simple. Don't have to make it so complicated. Like I said, I hope you guys had a great first trading session. You ended green, and let's hope for many more green trades, green days really, this year. And I will catch you guys all later. Peace.